Welcome in our jazz meeting, Melvin.
Thank you for
Davis.
having me.
It was about 5 years, I think.
Yes,
we
yes.
met in Hengelo in our hometown, a very small town, and you were there really written our Patrice Rushen and Sonny Emery.
Yes.
Yes, and it was very nice to meet you. So I'm glad and I'm very grateful that I meet you here.
Well, it's good to be
That
here.
you have your precious time to give. And so let's talk about your website. Your website starts with affirmation. In your words, for the listeners from the jazz meeting, what do you mean?
Well, what I mean in terms of affirmation is affirming what I do and who I am as a human being first.
Yes.
As a musician who, in whatever situation I'm in or whatever company of another human that I'm in, that I affirm him and he affirms me. I affirm her. She affirms me by our presence, by what we have to say to one another, and the energy, if you will, that we bring to each other, to and from the conversation. And my affirming you is acknowledging you, acknowledging your gift, acknowledging what your presence, acknowledging what you have to say to contribute to the conversation that you and I are having. So affirmation is very important to me, because while all we have is right now, we don't think about yesterday unless you want to reminisce. But all we have it's about making what is special right now, affirming each other and having a conversation, whether it be life or in the language of music.
Wow, and it's a very nice intro of your website. And so you let's start talking about when you were a child. When was that very moment that you said to yourself, "This is what I want. This is my passion"?
Wow, that's a good question. Probably when I came out of my mother's womb.
Yes.
Well, I think it's inherent in most people. It's because as far back as I can remember, my uncle gave me a guitar, and you either have it or you don't. I guess there's that thing inside of you that says, okay, this is something to explore. The sound of it sounds good to me. My parents always had a radio by my bedside, so I'm always listening to music constantly. Before my mother had me, she was always listening to music. You know what I mean? Just putting it in the spirit of what she wanted me to be. And so at a young age, I just started, picking up instruments, playing. I started playing violin at an early age, and my fingers were too long, as you can see. And so I started playing saxophone, and I played saxophone all the way through high school. And then all of a sudden I switched to bass guitar and fell in love with it. So I've always been surrounded by music, and call it God, if you will. He said, "This is the instrument you're gonna play, and do it because you love it. Do it because your parents instilled the love of music in you." And that's just that instrument I chose to communicate to the world, if you will. Because I can't speak Dutch, I can't speak Japanese, but I can speak in the language of music. And for me, it started, just from my parents just constantly feeding me with sounds, music.
Yes, you mentioned love because it's very important. The love for your music, the love for your instrument. But there are hard times too. So how do you cope? How did you find the strength to stay with it?
Well, music, the love of music and all of that encompasses everything, because when it's like, say you heard me play a song today, and it's like, wow, he sounds amazing. And then tomorrow you hear me play that same song, and you're like, oh, it sounds a little different than yesterday. That's because that's how life is, through the ups and the downs. Whatever I'm feeling comes through the instrument. It's a part of me. It's the spiritual side of what I do. The way I play something today, I guarantee you will not be the way it will sound tomorrow, because that's not how life is.
No.
Life is about ups and downs. But the language of music sometimes, well, no, the language of music all the time deals with that. It deals with the complexities of it. Of life. It's the whole idea of saying, okay, how do I feel today? I just called my wife. We had a wonderful conversation. I miss you, honey, blah, blah, blah. And when I picked up my instrument, that came through the instrument. Or I called my friend and he's saying, man, I'm really having a bad time. And because you affirm his feelings, you take that on. And so now you have the instrument in your hand and you're thinking, wow, and my friend's really going through a hard time. That then comes through the instrument because it's a part of you. It's a part of who you are as a human being. I don't separate myself from the instrument. It's the tool I use to speak to you, to your heart. And although it's a culmination of ideas, I am still speaking to you based upon my experience in the now. How do I feel right now? And that's where the emotional side, if you know, I've had, as we all have, I've had instances where I've been like really depressed about something, you know, not in the literal sense of depression, but something that's, all right, it's got me kind of concerned. Well, chances are when I grab my instrument and I do a concert that night or do a club date or whatever, that will come through. That might touch you even more, because there are times when the listener is, you know, I'm feeling bad today. I've had troubles with my family. I had troubles with this and that. I just want to go out and hear music. It then becomes my job, not knowing what your troubles are, to convey a sense of, I understand where you're coming from, because right now I'm going through something. And sometimes you lift people's spirits that way through the language of music. So whether I'm down, you know, sometimes I pick it up when I am down. Maybe this is what I need to lift me up. But yeah, whether I'm down or up, whether my spirits are low or high, music gives me that escape, allows me to just kind of tune in and say, and just say to myself, you know what, it's gonna be all right, because I could be feeling down right now, but when I play tonight and see someone in the audience smiling, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be okay, you know. So whether I'm down, up or down, music ties it all, because it connects me to everyone else. Someone's smile might turn me all the way around, you know. So communication.
Yes, communication, but also being aware of the lovely things of life, in the flower or something.
Yes. Well, just as I said, a smile from somebody could turn you around. I mean, you're playing your instrument while you're feeling down, and you look. You realize that right here and right now, in spite of everything that's going on, I'm on this stage and there's thousands of people out there, and here right now they're saying, we affirm you, we love what you do, and that alone says okay.
And I thought you were all talking about that people are afraid of something to give.
Yes, well, yeah, being afraid to just be who they are. See, because once again, there's the affirmation part. It's like, it's not necessary for me to feel lesser than so that you feel comfortable. It is up to me in my capacity as an entertainer, as just a human, to connect with you on a spiritual level. And if I have something that you need that takes you to that place of saying it's going to be okay. Because a lot of people do live in a world where they feel inferior, and I take the position, if you will, or I take the onus on myself to say, you matter. In the overall scheme, everybody has a purpose. It's about finding your purpose, and once you find your purpose in life, having that affirmed. I affirm you because it's about what we do now, how we interact with each other right now, to bring both of our consciousness, if you will, to that level that says we're good. We're good people. We have what we have left, good, bad, or indifferent, but we affirm each other by our very existence.
But now my question: when did you find that purpose? Why? When did you discover that you needed it to be that person who you are?
Wow, that's a hard one because I think my parents instilled that sense of worth, if you will, or that sense of giving. Like my parents are they're givers. You know, there's that whole thing said there are takers and there are givers.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there are the receivers. I receive you. I receive that. I think early on, like I said, I was doing it for the love of it. Then I started playing in churches, in my home church, and then you start seeing people like, oh wow, he's very talented. So you begin to like, wow, this is, you know. And then I started playing for large audiences. I mean, the clubs. You know, you don't know if people are listening to you or not because you know wherever there's a club, there's a bar. You know,
Yes.
you know,
So they're coming for the beer.
exactly. So you know if they're coming.
Yeah.
So when I started playing for audience and being affirmed, if you will, that's when I really realized, wow, I'm changing lives. So it started at an early age for me. I don't know that you're really aware of how of what you do or who you are at an early age. You're just kind of doing it. But yeah, but as I began to tour the world, I began to realize, wow, I think it happened when I started with Buddy Miles when I was a teenager. I really still didn't know. I was just like, I was a teenager, but I'm in New York and I live in California. So I'm like, wow, I'm playing with Buddy Miles. But I still don't know. It's just I'm playing my instrument. I'm still like, I don't know that, okay, your purpose now is to fulfill lives through your instrument. I'm just thinking, I'm playing my instrument. I'm out. I left home.
Yeah.
I'm in New York. So that didn't happen. Then I started touring with the Pointer Sisters, which is more of a pop act. And now we're playing for thousands of people. And I still, you see a sea of people you're playing. You don't know if it's the Pointer Sisters or what you're playing, or as a unit, you're touching lives. I'm still not that conscious of saying, okay, I'm aware. I think I became aware the first time I sat in a club, a jazz club, and we played a ballad or something, and I got to solo. There's a lot of times when you're sitting in your room and you're practicing, and I think I became aware when and it may have been on a Lee Red Network gig, I don't know, but I got a chance to solo, and it was just something really. I mean, and you can tell by the way I play now, or what I love playing ballads, and I didn't become one with the artist. I became one with my maker. I said, it's like, okay, God, I'm just giving you what I have. This all that is within me. I'm going to give it to you. And man, I get into because you can't please everyone in the audience. So you might as well have that one thing and have that conversation. And when I looked up and everyone was like, wow, that's when I knew, okay, this is there's a purpose here. And music is much deeper, much more profound than just playing the notes. It's communicating. It's communicating. It's telling them a story of your life. We're all storytellers. It's telling you where I come from, telling you how I'm feeling right now through this instrument. And when I finished my solo and I looked up, I was more amazed at how they were like going, wow. So that just it wasn't like, oh my God, it was the most amazing. It was just, they were like, I feel you. I understand you.
You were touched by
Yes. And that's the most gratifying thing for me as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, who's best, who's the best. That's all relative. It's like at this moment, at this time, what is it I did that touched you? Did you feel where I was coming from? Did we connect? Music is about connection. And that probably happened for me one a lot later in life. Younger, when I was a child, I did childish things. When I became an adult, I came into an understanding of what it meant to be a giver. So it started a lot later for me, at least that understanding.
And the presence, there are presents,
Yes.
there are gifts, and it's also food for your soul.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I want to talk to you the whole morning, but I said 15 minutes.
Yeah. It's so easy to do because we're talking music and you're sharing your thoughts and what you want, what your loves, and if you can get it in 15 minutes, it's great. But it's yeah, I know. I mean, we can sit there and talk all day because that's what music is,
Yes, and it's I'm so it makes me happy.
Thank you.
It makes me very happy.
That's awesome.
And I think this is also a part of your success as a person, as a musician.
Yeah.
And what I just want to know, this generation, the new generation, it's for the new generation a very hard time. It's a great competition, and to stay by yourself and keep your identity and not being frustrated or confused.
Yeah.
To be him or her or...
Well, we I don't know if this is, technology being what it is, we live in a YouTube age now.
Yeah.
Where everything is visual. It's like, I want to be better than, I want to be, I endeavor to be this great musician based upon what I see, not based upon what I feel. And when we grew up listening to music and learning to be musicians, it was all about hearing and feeling, because we didn't have videos to watch all the time. You had to go to the concert to see your favorite person, see and interact emotionally with him, with he or she in real time. Now we just put on a computer, we look at we don't know the substance behind, we just like, okay, I want to be that, I want to be that, I want to be that. And then we have schools taking music out of schools, which is really sad. So I think people like myself and other musicians who know the history, if you will, I think it's very important for us to have these kind of forums to communicate. I think it's very important for us to go back into the schools and sort of, I don't want to say teach, but share the love of learning, of the love of music, because it's right now everything is technical. Everything is like you push a button and there it is. The idea of two musicians sitting in a room sharing ideas or making music, it's like I have these computers here and they all have Pro Tools and I can do sessions in my computer. I'm doing, when I was in London a couple of days, I was working on this Joni Mitchell project for Shaka Khan, and I've got my computer, I've got my studio, and I'm doing all of this editing. And there used to be a time when everyone used to just walk in the studio together and play. So technology is not a bad thing, but it disallows, if you will, for interaction with other human beings, because now it's easier to send something to you on the internet and have you do that. So you've taken the human element out of making music. So it has its good moments. And it has its bad. It's finding a way to make it all work, so that you can move as technology moves, but you can still find a way to interact as Homo sapiens, making music.
Well, Melvin Davis, I want to thank you for sharing your story, for sharing Well, and very important things.
Yes.
Thank you for your gifts.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and for being you.
Ah.
That's very important.
Yes.
And enjoy it on the North Jazz Festival.
Thank
I
you.
hope to hear you and to meet you in future.
Yes.
Thank you.
We will.
I wish you luck, love, happiness, and good health.
Oh, thank you. And thank you.
I can put hands because I'm so very excited.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And let me say, good people always stay connected.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate the interview. It's this allows me to tell my story. You've come into my room, and it allows me to speak freely from the heart. And this gets a chance to go out to people who may want to know what it's like to be in this position. And I'm very happy you've come in and allowed me to speak. It's beautiful.
Yes, well, for me this is a big gift.
Well, thank you for having me. It's awesome.
I'm so happy.